Alright, what's up internet, and welcome back to a brand new video on the Materwelon channel. As always, I hope you're doing well, and today's upload differs a lot from my regular content, because this time I'm not covering any particular drama or controversies between YouTubers or rappers or just journalism mistakes, but rather I really felt the need to try and tackle a way bigger issue at hand that has become increasingly prominent this past year, and that I feel is sadly not addressed enough, and more often than not it gets ignored outright. So just be aware that while normally most of my videos contain at least some form of humor and lightheartedness to sort of not get too depressing, similarly to me IRL, I often stay at least somewhat positive, but this video will certainly contain harsh facts and be very serious instead. So I'm going to use this video to speak my mind on the recent wave of Asian hate that has come up throughout the world, especially during this and the past year. I never thought I would ever decide to upload a video of this kind, but it has really become so prominent that I will use my small platform to spread awareness. So a lot of you might have noticed that the hashtag #StopAsianHate has been trending since April, and ever since then it has at least appeared to be semi-relevant on many social media platforms. Now, anti-Asian hate is defined as hate or discrimination against people with an Asian background, typically from Eastern or Southeastern Asia. The reason why this has increasingly become more relevant is obviously due to the pandemic. According to an article it found, anti-Asian hate has increased 164% since 2019, and the pandemic obviously broke out in March of 2020, and as we all know it originated from China, which is why a lot of idiots frankly blame Chinese people for shitty situation we're all stuck in right now. Now, ever since then, there have been some real geniuses all around the world who blame everyone of Chinese descent, which in their mind they're all Asians, for the whole corona outbreak. Now, let me explain my unique viewpoint with some personal background knowledge. I used to live in a facility near a school for people that resided too far away to commute between schools in their homes, and 95% of the young kids living there were actually of Asian descent, which is why I had a friend circle with a lot of Asians. Of course, not exclusively, that would be weird, but I was close with many and still am, which is why I found out a lot about Asian culture. And even back then, a lot of offensive shit was thrown at them, and even me through solely associating with them. Of course, I'd also bring the occasional karate jokes and stuff, that's just how I am, but I would never have taken it too far, and if anyone felt offended, I'd of course apologize. But now exemplify this whole thing that I just explained to the COVID pandemic. When I last hung out with a group that included a majority of Asian people in it, literally you could see how everybody started avoiding us for no other reason than them being Asian, and the COVID outbreak having started in Asia. This was especially problematic in March of 2020. I personally even saw an Asian kid in my own at the time school class get bullied for her Asian heritage when Corona began, and she had to transfer schools because of that, which is definitely not okay. When COVID for me started, I wasn't in my home country. I had arrived in Scotland with friends one night before travel restrictions came into place. At the time, my home country had lots of confirmed cases, while in Scotland COVID essentially at the time was non-existent, with only about 10 cases and most people just panicking in front of their TV. But even so, because I came from a country with more cases, people automatically started treating me differently. One resident was so paranoid of me and some of my mates that he directly told us he thinks we all must have COVID because we are from that country, and some of the Italian people at the time even got it worse. Now, even back then I felt unjustly treated, since I of course did not have COVID, nor did I have any fault that my country had cases, yet here I was getting targeted because of it. And that's not even comparable to Asian hate, because with me you at least wouldn't be able to identify my heritage easily at all, but with people of Asian descent you can always tell them apart from other people rather easily. So what do I intend to say with bringing up this personal example? That even with my limited personal experience, limited because while I am typically around a lot of Asian dudes due to my friend circle and I've witnessed some discrimination myself, I am not of Asian descent and therefore won't be able to ever fully relate, but it still has become such a noticeable and giant issue that it needs to desperately be addressed and fought against. One of the most apparent aspects of Asian hate, I even saw this myself, is outright making coronavirus jokes at their expense or making tongue-in-cheek remarks about how they're somehow at fault for COVID. I even witnessed a woman without a mask on shaming an Asian man on the train for causing COVID. A woman without a mask. That's the equivalent of these straight women or Karens that find gay guys disgusting because they like men. Straight girls, you like men too, you idiot. But anyway, The issue here is that if such things are said, and even if they're meant as a joke, I can absolutely guarantee Asian people won't find a haha let's eat the bad soup joke funny in the slightest, or a haha you have corona. It's more likely they'll think of it as some form of bullying or attack. There's even still people around today that call the COVID virus the Chinese virus, and I have directly spoken out against this since March last year, because that in my mind is still incredibly racist and close-minded. So the point I'm trying to make here is that almost everybody of Asian descent had to face increased discrimination during the past 15 months simply because the pandemic originated in China. I can guarantee you if it originated in America, for example, people would be complaining way more about getting discriminated because they don't deserve it. But since it originated in China, so many people just don't care. And that's why I decided to make this video to kind of spread more awareness. In my opinion, this definitely needs to be countered to help out Asian people that feel like they have been discriminated against for unjust reasons. Just because Stop Asian Hate has appeared less on your timeline the past few weeks, it is still in fact a very real scenario that is going around the world. Granted, it has become slightly less due to nowadays everyone living in an equally big COVID hell, except New Zealand and Australia, I guess, but it still remains as something with the need of being countered. If you're Asian, please don't let yourself get convinced you're somehow partially at any fault. But the reason I even decided to talk about this right now is that I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that there is actually a bill being passed for better enforcement and recognition of anti-Asian hate speech laws. But since that won't be enough to stop all Asian hate, obviously the main message here that I want to convey is more of do not accuse Asians of starting the pandemic, or do not constantly make COVID jokes or other racist remarks, you know, the ice thing and all that. Even if you might think it could be a funny joke, most people will probably take it more as an attack than that. So please, if any of you have acted disrespectfully against Asians, I know this probably won't change your outlook, you'll probably be upset at this video, but please just rethink your opinion, especially if you think this pandemic was somehow planned and Chinese people are at fault for the whole pandemic, which is obviously bullshit. I mean, it's the typically conspiracy moron stuff, but it's definitely not something that has been caused by the Chinese government, because why would they do that? It didn't just damage their rivals' industry, but everyone's industry, so that obviously makes zero sense. So if you really feel that way, in that case, you're too far gone, mate. Plus, if you're already trying to fight against Asian hate, congrats, you're doing great, and I think you're probably a good person, most likely, if you're not a child enthusiast or something. Anyway, that's all I wanted to speak on regarding this whole Asian hate conversation. Please share your opinion down below. But yeah, check me out on Twitter, Real Materwelon, like this video and sub to the channel. If you haven't already, stay safe, don't forget to wash your hands, and goodbye.